Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of the MMPR Boom Studios comic issues 21 and 22. I apologize, this is a bit late because I said I was going to start doing, issue-ly reviews. But the holidays got away from me. I forgot issue 21 came out. But it's kind of fine because 21 and 22 are both kind of like setup issues. So I'll probably do that in the future when issues are more light on stuff to talk about, sort of double them up. But we're going to be entering some cool stuff here, so that probably won't happen for a minute. But so that kind of worked out. And also, as far as Go-Go Power Rangers is, I've still only read the first 2 issues. I still need to catch up on that. Again, the holiday stuff just kind of, between general holiday stuff and review holiday stuff, I just kind of got busy. So within the next month or so, after this next batch of build reviews comes out, I will get my catch up on Go-Go Power Rangers coming out, and I should be more on top of these. But anyway, these 2 issues basically dealt with the aftermath of finding out about the 1969 Rangers. The first one basically involved the Rangers seeing Grace's base and like what she has built as a result of her life being changed by being the first Red Ranger. And we learned like about the organization, what she's learned, the fact that she's made technologies like Mechazords, which was really cool. We found out that Finster can now create monsters that take on human disguises, which is really cool. When I think about it, it's very reminiscent of the way Kamen Rider behaves, because often their monsters will either be disguised as a human, a clone of a human, or just a straight-up human that's using something to transform. But still, for Power Rangers, that's an interesting concept, because usually it's just like a mindless meathead that's thrown to the ground. I mean, they still kind of are, but I mean, it's kind of like more of a almost spy thing. Like, you could be like, oh, guy at the coffee shop, oh my god, it's I Guy, and then he kills you when you're getting Starbucks. So that's interesting. And it was just cool to see this Red Ranger, this first Red Ranger who has built something out of her life being affected by being a Ranger for however brief a time. There's 2 things I want to address that I'm going to say, put a pin in. You know what I'm talking about, but I was going to talk about it now, but I'm going to wait. But so that was basically that issue. There might be something I'm forgetting because it was longer since they were at 21. But 22 then dealt with Zordon's back, and they were kind of talking to him. It was kind of like day in the life stuff. Like, they were talking to Zordon about what happened. We saw them like sort of doing some Zord repair stuff or whatever. And there was like some nice scenes of them just talking about everyday life, like Kim's relationship with her dad and Tommy. And it was just nice stuff. Like, it wasn't world-changing, but I liked that it felt like real dialogue and not like the MMPR 90s dialogue where, golly gee, where should we volunteer next? I just can't decide where to do good. And this was like just real people problems. There was even a scene where they were like having coffee in a break room with their suits on, which I thought was like interesting. And just, I don't know, I liked that. I like that kind of stuff that makes them feel human and not like fake ideals. And then you had Jason talking to Grace a bit about like how he's been struggling with the guilt he would feel or has felt when he's in charge of the team, like when Tommy and Billy were missing, and asking her how she she dealt with that because she lost pretty much her whole team. And I thought that was an interesting scene, and it adds a lot to Jason. And there's also a little bit brewing of his sort of I don't want to say struggle right now, but his sort of taking in the different approaches that Grace and Zordon have, which again I'll get to in a second. So that was all some interesting stuff. I really dug that, and like some of the plans she's coming forward with. And Saba was sort of interrogating Finster and creating this illusion world, and there's that stuff going on. It was a lot of setup stuff. There was also this interesting conversation that I forgot to mention when they were doing the conversation about everyday life between Kimberly and Trini, where they said, like, do you ever think about, like, the monsters, basically? Like, you know, I know that they're made from magic, but, like, that life has to come from somewhere. And that was an interesting concept. Power Rangers is very rarely touched on, like, how does that, is that really life? Is that sentient? You know, what is that? Like, anything around that. The closest it's come to is episodes where there's, like, a good monster, like the one in Space with the Bumblebee guy. So, just lots of little interesting stuff. Like, these 2 issues had little interesting stuff like that that's not necessarily super impactful on the main plot, but it's interesting character and world stuff that we never get in the series, hardly at all. We only scratch the surface of it. And then some really neat setup for things. And, oh, at the beginning we also got to see, I don't know if it was supposed to be Onyx or not, I might have missed the caption, but Rita meeting with, I forget the magician dude's name, I forgot, I know it too, is like the Magician of Despair, or the Wizard of Despair, or something like that, but meeting with him for something, so that was another thing. Like, there's all these little seeds being planted for storylines both character and world that are going to be colliding. So it was all interesting, like the stuff with Grace and Zordon. But the conversation with Zordon basically came down to, like, why are you lying? It was like, why did you not tell us about the 1969 Rangers? And Zach's like, well, that also goes hand in hand with, why would you have me keep from the team that Rita tried to make me the original recipe Green Ranger? And he basically was like, rah, 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 rah. Do you understand life? He basically said, no, he was just like trying to shield you from it. I get that with the 1969 Rangers. Like, I get wanting to shield him from that, and he feels guilt and shame. I still don't 100% wonder or understand how that ties to why he wouldn't want Zach to tell the Rangers about Rita's offer to Zach, because that's not shielding him from anything. They know Rita's shady. So, I don't, Rita is shady. Rita, classic. But so, that's interesting, and it was interesting to see the Rangers call Zordon out on their BS, because in the show I'll be like, oh, it's fine, Zordon, let's go volunteer. The worst. I don't think volunteering is bad, it's just they're so fake. Nobody's like that. Even like the goodest people I've ever seen or met are not like that. Anyway, the two things I wanted to touch on were in issue 21, there was a monster and Grace got in her Mechazord and just stepped on it, which was immensely satisfying because that's something, if that happened, the episodes would be mini-webisodes and there wouldn't be 22 minutes to fill out. So I get that. But that was something that was always stupid to me. And something else with Zordon, he said when they were talking about, oh, this is Grace, this is what Grace has done, and we want to work with her. And he's like, well, as Rangers, you're just supposed to protect the world and not change it. And especially after The Last Jedi, it reminded me a lot of the Jedi from the Clone Wars era with these stupid rules that are holding stuff back. You're still holding on. Let the past die. And it's just like stupid rules that's like, you're making the Rangers a half measure. Like, I never understood the don't escalate a battle. Like, in certain senses, I'm sure, there is an explanation for it. But in terms of like, why not just step on him? Like, oh no, we need to wait for him to terrorize the citizens small first, then cause a fight that could cause destruction, blow him up, let him get big, cause another fight, more destruction, then we can take him out. Why not just step on him before he's a problem? Or let's just take the Megazord and blow up her base on the moon. Like, oh, we can't escalate a battle. I think you're a half measure, Zordon. I feel like I'm like the Punisher talking to Daredevil. Like, again, in the show, that would stop the show from happening because the conflict, episode 2, you'd be like, oh, step on your monster, go to your base, boom, you're dead. Show's over next season. We can catch up with Sentai that way. But in the comic, they have an opportunity to explore that. Because it wouldn't go so peachy if you always tried that. Like, I'm sure if they tried to blow up her moon base, she'd be like, ha, here's my 5 moon guards, and then they'd be destroyed. But that, because in no way is that harming lives, I don't think. I mean, there is ways escalating the battle could cause an escalation, but so long as they weigh the options, stopping the monster before he becomes a real problem, or just taking out their base, there was nothing wrong with it. You know, I don't see anything, and I think that's going to be interesting, something they could explore in a morally interesting way of the pros and cons of it. Because like I said, there's ways that escalating it could be bad, but sometimes it could be good. And I think that's something interesting. Like, there's stuff like that in Power Rangers that as I've gotten older especially, I'm like, that's stupid. Like civilian fights. I love me a good civilian fight. They're fun to watch, especially with some good choreography, but they're stupid when you think about it. Like, Tony Stark's not like, well, I think I'm gonna fight these aliens without my suit first for like a good 20 minutes, and then I'll suit up. No, you suit up right away. Like, I like civilian fights when the Rangers don't have powers, because it adds more weight to them, because not only then are they cool to watch, but it shows that the Rangers will fight even if they don't have powers. They're gonna stand up and protect the world even if they don't have powers to protect them, and not like, let's needlessly throw ourselves into danger without protection. Like, nobody does that. Like, no other superheroes are like, well, I'm just gonna not put my suit on. Or Superman's like, you know what? I'm not gonna use my powers for this first part. No, you do it right away. Anyway, that was a side rant. But anyway, both these issues were good. They're good issues. They're not bad or anything, but they were very much set up stuff. But they did introduce a lot of more fine details to setting up things and just some character stuff, which I really appreciate. But we're going to be hitting some really awesome stuff soon, but I'm still really enjoying this. Probably give both issues about an 8, 8.5. I'd say an 8. Well, not like they don't deserve that whole glorious 0.5, but it's just, you know, they were just good setup issues. But anyway, that's about it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Awesome Rider, signing out.